Go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of it is the people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does a different way with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head! No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk duns, boys and girls.
Freeze frame.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan. This is Talkin' Jets, and I don't have the energy. Damn it! I got my co-host with me. I got Mr. Green Bean to my this way. I got Mr. Matt O'Leary to my that way. Green Bean, how are you feeling tonight?
And we're going to do a show about the team.
Oh,
this
damn.
is fucking crazy. I'm happy to see you guys. This is good. This is good.
O'Leary, how are you doing tonight?
Well, we're in the muck of it again, man. We are very much in it. We're going to talk about where do they go from here. We're going to talk about GM searches and coach searches, and Rex Ryan wants to coach again, and will Rodgers come back? And there's 9 games left. We don't have to worry about these 9 games. Who cares? But we get to talk about the off-season storylines, baby.
Dude,
Fantastic.
I did not think this was going to happen before the month of November. If you had told me that Aaron Rodgers was going to be healthy the whole time, he'll be on pace for over 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, I'd be like, Jets are fucking winning the division. We got this. Just gangbusters. Nope. No dice. Boys and girls, we got a poll question in the chat. The Jets should. You can choose between these 3 options. Trade before the deadline, new staff plus reload, or new staff plus reset. You guys can vote on that. We had this poll question going during mine and Dom's show yesterday, as well as my show after that. And it seems like the fan base is pretty evenly split on everything, and we never know what to do, which is, par for the course, I guess. But I guess let's do a brief thoughts of the game. Overall, just a terrible, terrible game. To me, the first quarter set me off. The 3 timeouts in the first quarter was absolutely asinine. This is not something where like these are all timing issues. Like this is very much an Aaron Rodgers problem, a Todd Downing problem, and a focus and coaching player problem. This is like a huge issue. But I put a lot of blame on Rodgers, and I put a lot of blame on Downing. And not even just that. Like that started the pissed off part of Ryan. But then as you go through the game, and you have to score a touchdown at the end here, and you have to get the 2-point conversion. From the beginning of this fucking drive, you don't have a 2-point conversion play drawn up ahead of time. Or 2. Give yourself 2 plays. Say, okay, look, here's our run play, here's our pass play. Depending on what winds up happening, this is what we're going to do out of it. That is the strategy. You get all the way down, you score a touchdown, and then even with timeouts, you allow the clock to run out, and you push yourself 5 yards back. Fucking asinine. Absolutely stupid. I've never seen such gross incompetence and egregious malpractice in my entire life. And if you had told me Aaron Rodgers would be a part of that, I would have said I don't believe you. And they just go ahead and do it. And I wanted to play from the 7-yard line. I'm sick of this. I'm in the darkness and I've been there before and whatever. What is he, Bane from Batman? I'm born in the darkness. I'm so over it. I'm so over it. But I also can't find it in my body to be overly upset. I'm done. This every other year we've had, issues or hurdles or things that have come up that I'm like, oh man, if that one guy stayed healthy, if Rodgers stayed healthy last year, we would have had a real good shot at Super Bowl. Oh man, if this happened. Oh man, if that happened. But no, we've got everything. We had what I thought was going to be a halfway decent coach in Robert Saleh. We have the young players. We have the, all the big names to round out a roster, and we just can't figure it out. And at this point, I don't know what to do because the Jets are going to be in a world of hurt from a cap situation, from a draft pick situation, from just a Joe Douglas being in the final year of his contract and needing to attract a new GM to this damn team with all the fire that's going on around it right now. And Aaron Rodgers is the biggest tipping point. Does a team, does a coach, does a GM really want to come in here with Aaron Rodgers and Woody Johnson calling the shots? Like, what GM is going to want to take this job after, like, what Joe Douglas just had to go through for the last, like, 2 years or whatever it's been? I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. Green bean.
You know, you said something really, really important for me, right? So, I see people yelling. I mean, Jets fans are doing our yearly thing where they attack with vitriol, anything, you know, like in ways that I just feel are not really appropriate for sports. Like, I mean, like, you know, look, you know me, I'm a big ball busting guy. I believe you can say shit. Like, I like the violence of the sport, but there's a line. Like, you keep it, you know, there's a line. You don't attack people like, you know, their families or what, you know, whatever it is. And I don't like that we like eat our own every year. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, I'm always like, what is this? But the thing is, like you said, Ryan, I don't have it. Like, I'm not at anger anymore. Like, I'm at complete, like, dejection, like utter disbelief. I'm looking at the game. And even in that game, like, it was such a sloppy mess. But at no time did I think we were losing that game. I didn't think we were losing until we lost it. I was like, we lost. And I was like not making fun. I'm like, wow, that Boutte is such a disappointment. I liked him coming out. And I thought, you know, that he would, you know, he'd have a nice career. And he's garbage the whole game. And who catches that big long pass? You know, I was like, I can't believe it. You know, like, it's just the layers of ridiculousness for us. But here's the thing that kills me the most with all of this stuff. If we had a field goal kicker right now who could kick field goals, we would be a 5-win. I mean, with all of it, right? And we would be justifying and doing it, but it'd be a whole different thing. And the problem for me is, and it's just such a spear tip for the entirety of the real problem. This guy is shanking extra points, just straight up shanking them, right? Field goal, every game he's missed a field goal, like numerous consecutive games. We're losing games by 3 points, and he's like, whatever, 1 point, 3 points. And there is an absolute and utter refusal to move on. They defend him. I think it was Matt. I'm pretty sure it was you, O'Leary. Jeff Holbrick was saying, well, we'll know in a couple days. We'll make a decision in a couple days. And Matt goes, kickoff is literally in 51 hours. Like what are we talking about? Like, it's just like real teams. Like, okay, I can get it. Like 1 game, 2 games, whatever. But it's like, we are losing games. And that has been the difference in numerous games. Again, I'm not skirting the other issues, but it's like, it highlights and makes clear for anyone what the real issue is. They preach things and they do not practice them. They say accountability, there is none. They say violence, there is none. We can't tackle. They say play with your ass on fire. Guys like that I love, like Quinnen Williams, and they're just like, there are numerous plays he just stands up. There's no continuous effort that you see from like the greats of and even the averages. You know what I mean? Like, there are guys that play with fire. We talk about it and we don't do it. And when we do it, we follow it with a week of not doing it. Like, we've never done it consistently in this whole entire regime's lifespan here. And it's just the Greg Zuerlein thing highlights it so well for me. He is clearly not the guy that he was. It is without question. Now, maybe he can, at what point do you, it's such a glaring, obvious issue, and they will not move in another direction. And that's why everything is happening. That's why there's no adjustment with the clock shit. 3 timeouts in the first quarter. That's why there's no accountability when guys are giving up sacks, when guys are dropping passes. The only guy I remember being held responsible on this whole fucking regime is Denzel Mims. That's it. One guy. And they did it enough for him, so I guess we don't have to do it for anybody else. That's what Frankie said. We did. Mimsy took it for everybody. But it's like, I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. It's just like, am I going to yell and scream and argue on Twitter and fuck you, blah, blah. I can't. It's so the team they do not have it in them to make the tough decisions. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. And it's sad.
Matt, your thoughts?
It is very sad is a great word to use for the state of this team, because not that Greg Zuerlein's a massive problem, right? But he is not the only problem. I'm not saying the Jets are 2-6 because of the kicker. That's ridiculous and that's completely unfair. But it's almost like a personification of what the problem is. They wait too long for something that is obviously not working to make some sort of change. Anyone with eyeballs saw during the year, there were multiple examples, whether you want to go all the way back to Denver in week 4, or then against Buffalo and Pittsburgh, and now against New England. And it's Tuesday. They played Sunday at 1 o'clock, and it's Tuesday night, and they're still going, we need another day to trot out 4 kickers at MetLife Stadium, have them, bat the ball around a few times before we know if we're good with Greg Zuerlein coming back or not. He's hitting at 60% this year. 60. That's an absurd number. League average is like 89.5, and he's at 60%. By far, I think 33 kickers have attempted. He's 33rd. It's just not, it's not good enough. And I'm not going to kill Joe Douglas for not having, or not choosing Austin Seibert over him. But I do think he deserves blame when it's been week after week after week of the same thing being an issue and being too stubborn to do anything about it to change. Like Greenbean said it 3 weeks in a row. Does Joe Douglas still work here? Is he doing anything right now? Is this just Woody Johnson calling the shots and they're running out the clock on Joe Douglas because he doesn't have a contract at the end of the year? The team's an absolute mess. And now they play on a short week against the really good Houston Texans team, likely dropping to 2-7. And if Joe Douglas isn't going to be here next year, is he going to actually make any moves at the trade deadline to sell off pieces to get assets for the next guy? Like, you're just such in a such a shitty spot with where this team is.
Yeah, are you stocking someone else's war chest, or are you trying to give it your all and just say F it? You have a chance versus the Texans, right? It's a short week for them. They don't have Stefan Diggs is out for the year now. Is Collins out too? I feel like they're down 2 receivers. So it's not a totally insurmountable task, but this team does not aspire any confidence when the only 2 wins you have are against 2 of the worst teams in the NFL, in the Titans and the Patriots. And you just lost to the Patriots this past week. The Jets are sitting right now with the 4th overall draft pick. And, for us, we're sitting here. The Titans and Patriots, they're playing this week against one another. If the Titans wind up winning that game, the Jets move into 3rd overall. And then obviously if the Patriots win, then that we want the Patriots to win in a weird roundabout way for like draft pick purposes, if that's where your head's at already. But I don't even know what I want them to draft. Like the future just seems so bleak and so irritating from all points. And if you kind of go back to 2 years ago and you say, okay, well, we could have had Carr and not given up draft picks, I'm not sure that's necessarily a winning formula. Like, realistically, the best option the Jets could have gone with was Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield would have been the best quarterback from that year's crop of free agent quarterbacks or guys that were on the move. And look, I endorse going for Rodgers. I think that is the home run swing. I think it was the right attempt. You look at the Rams did it, the Broncos did it, the Buccaneers did it. We almost did it with Favre, 15 years ago. And if he doesn't tear his rotator cuff, the Jets have an opportunity to run the table for 3 years. We went to back-to-back AFC Championship games with Mark Sanchez at quarterback. Like, imagine Brett Favre, how he performed on the Vikings with the roster we had the following 2 years. Like, that would have been a crazy good team. I don't know. Just fucking pissed.
Yeah. It's Jeff Ulbricht, he's in over his head. And he, like, not only is his first time ever being a head coach, but he's doing the defense. I mean, it's like everything about it. Look, if it was working, you can make excuses, you can make reasoning and justifications. But when it's not working, just like we're saying, it has been frustrating for years. Whether it was, sit Zach Wilson, he's thrown 3 interceptions already, and we keep him in, he throws another one, and somehow we're still in the game. You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things. Like they just don't seem to have any sense of urgency ever. And we've talked about this in other, for other reasons, but there is an appreciation that I have for slow and steady and methodical and not, jumping and getting caught up in the energy streams of the fan base and the media and all that. Like, I like that. I do respect and appreciate that, but there is a time for urgency. There's a time for rash decisions, if you will. Now, jumping and not talking to your GM and firing the head coach because you're upset, because they lost in front of your friends in London. I mean, maybe not the time for a rash decision. Like, I do think it should be a collective. I don't know. I think the GM, I'm a big believer that the GM is the football boss, unless you're firing the GM, I believe in that. And Woody, look, he's our owner. I know we say it all the time. He's got to sell. He's not selling the team. I have very little energy for the Woody Johnson thing. I get there every now and again, but it's like he's here, but the guys that we have, it's not Woody that's the problem right now, unless he's saying, Jeff, I want you to do this, or, don't bench Zerline, or, unless he's doing that kind of stuff, then it's a different story. But we see it with this staff. It's kind of been their mark. They're slow to the punch. They wait till halftime to make adjustments. They'll roll the whole first half and just keep getting eaten up. Remember the Cleveland game against Joe Flacco last year was a great example. 290 fucking yards or something like that in the first half. In the second half, he had 40 yards. So, it's like we did something different. And Njoku was eating us alive. And Njoku had 1 catch in the second half. Like, what did we do? And why couldn't we do it in the first quarter? It's what these guys are. It's been very frustrating. I really would love to see, more than anything else, I would love to see us just flip the switch and move over to winning these close games and going on a tear. That would make me the happiest. But the truth is I think it's systemic. I think this batch of people that we have are never going to beat the Andy Reids of the world, the Shanahans of the world. It's just never going to happen. So we're fooling ourselves. It's just, they've proven it. If they've proven anything, is that they're not good enough now to do it. So I just wanted to end.
No, dude, I agree with you. I think, from a win-loss perspective, I don't want to root for the draft pick. I very much want to win as many games as possible because I want to attract the best possible coach here for next year. And if they can see okay, well, it looks like the coaching staff just doesn't have their shit together. Maybe I can be the guy to come in and fire this thing up. And we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. I do want to catch up on a few super chats. Travis dropped in 5 Talkin' Jets memberships. Thank you so much. We've got James, Ben, Coochie, Britt, B. Cole, all becoming members, courtesy of Travis. He drops in his member super chat, says, I appreciate everything you guys do. Can't always afford to do things, but when I can, I will. Travis, no need to whatsoever, but greatly appreciated all the same. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Sky C says, I'm at 1% as a Jet fan. This is not fun anymore. Yeah, I'm beside myself. I don't know. I don't know what to hope for. I don't know what to wish for. And I just feel hopeless right now. And I want that to end. Peter drops in a 20 spot. Thanks so much, Peter. Says, this team is like trying to turn Titanic away from the iceberg and still hitting it broadside. They do everything at a pace that makes you want to shake/slap them to wake them up. Start playing the youngsters to see what you got. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. I would pull the plug on the Clemens experiment right now. Start playing, all these young undrafted free agents that we have. See if there's any hope. Pull Solomon Thomas. I would do the same thing and just let these guys play. You know, if I could get something of value for DJ Reed, I would make the trade for Reed right now. I would make the trade for Mike Williams right now and move them off for whatever we can get. I do think Woody's going to have to step over Douglas at this point. I don't know how much Douglas is really going to be participating right now. To your guys' point, I don't think he really is. I could see him just being like, you went over my head to fire Salah. Like, I'm just done at this point. Like, I don't know if he's made a move since. I don't know. I want to see them play the young guys because there's just not a whole heck of a lot of hope at this point. Matt, your thoughts on playing the youngsters?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one that we haven't mentioned yet is 𝐒𝐿. Tyron Smith has been horrible all year. Play 𝐒𝐿 at left tackle. See if you have your left tackle of the future. I think they do. I like 𝐒𝐿 a lot. I know he didn't look great at right tackle the couple games he went in, but I definitely want to see him play left tackle at some point this year. And what they've gotten out of Tyron Smith is not enough to give you confidence that you're going to re-up and sign him again at the end of this year anyway. So yeah, at 2-6, soon to be 2-7, let's see 𝐒𝐿.
I would add Corley to that list as well. Even though Gibson had a few nice returns this past week, I still want to see the Yak King and see what he could provide for a potential future. Bean, what do you think about the youngsters?
I love the idea. But why do you think Gibson looks so good? Because Corley was active. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
He was feeling the heat. Dude, he looked like a different player. Didn't he? He was like...
He caught the ball.
He caught the ball, but he was running like... He looked aggressive. He was like taking risks. I don't know. He looked different to me. We were having some fun with that too, man. It was like, you know, we're very, very hard on Gibson. And it's like, oh yeah, I told you, just be patient, you know, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I mean, you know, look, guys like, you know, like you said, 𝐒𝐿 is a good one, even though Tyron Smith looked good. But again, it's the competition too, man. Like when he plays anybody really worth anything, he's been struggling all year. And I'd love to see him. I'm also a big fan of seeing guys like more of LT3, Braden McGregor, those types of guys. If you're going to end up making some trades and you get rid of one of the cornerbacks, I'd love to see more, you know, get some reps for JBC and Stiggers and those kinds of guys. Like, get them their NFL experience. The only thing that I would say is that I am of the belief that there are really there's really one big problem right here. Now, again, I think Zuerlein is a problem, and there are numerous games we could just him alone, we could have 3 more wins, right? Like last play of the game, whatever field goal or the field goals that he missed, we lose by less than that. But I think he's just the glaring, obvious, shiny thing at the front of the real problem. He just makes it clear to see. The problem is the coaching. I think any real coach, like a Vrabel, could look at this team, I think, and just say, like, it's obvious what to do with these guys. Like every pundit that you see, like you still see some of that vitriol, but there's a lot more of like, it's beyond explanation what's going on with this team. Like they have all the pieces. Everything's there. It's just ridiculous. They just cannot seem to win these games. And a lot of them, again, were close. So granted, maybe we should be playing better than that and they shouldn't be close, but they are, and we should have won them, and we just can't figure out how to do it. So I don't know, like, if dumping all the assets, like I see people, yeah, you know, how much can we get for Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner and all? And I'm not there. Like, I'm not there. I think, like, you know, cleaning the cupboards to the point where you have to start over and bring in everybody. I don't think you have to do that. And it could be an attractive aspect for somebody coming in, not to have to spend two years rebuilding and just going through 2 years of utter disappointment, because it doesn't work here. Like, we are blood in the water fans. You know, we'll make your life miserable. And why would you choose to endure that? Like, if you know you got to draft a quarterback, there's no offensive line, there's no cornerbacks, there's no wide receivers. Like, why would you come here when you can do that nice and quietly in Arizona, or, wherever in Jacksonville, where they're going to be nice to you the whole time. They're like, it sucks. Hey, go get him. Get it. Do better next week, coach. We'll get him. Like, that's how they are. We're like, you fucking piece of shit. Your mother should have aborted you. That kind of stuff. Like, why do you want to endure that? So if Garrett Wilson's here, Sauce is still here, Quinnen Williams is still here, and it's looked at as a systemic problem with zero accountability, zero motivation, zero adjustment, zero anything, zero development on the offensive side of the ball, maybe it's like, hey guys, this isn't even that big of a fix for somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't know. It's an interesting thing, Peter. I'm actually in favor of playing some of the younger guys, but I'm not in favor of trading away guys that we know are talented. We're just upset.
Yankee Jet drops 5 Talking Jets membership. Look at Thanks so much, Yankee Jets. We got Jimmy Jets, Dylan, Wesley, Richard, and Ulysses all getting memberships courtesy of Yankee Jet. Greatly appreciated. Mr. Chode says, do we consider ourselves lucky if Rodgers doesn't return next season? The experiment didn't work. Do we even think he comes back? My stance on this is I want him to come back, as irritating as it is, and I think he's a very big part of this problem right now. I do want him to come back because we do have so much young stud talent on this team, and I think I'd rather do the reload and revamp the coaching staff route and see if we can just catch a spark. Because if we blow it up, we're going to stink next year anyway. I'd rather at least give ourselves some opportunity to maybe look all right. And heck, we might be more attractive as a landing spot because now you have the year to see what this team has and then all the assets you want greenlit to trade away. If I'm a new GM coming in here, I'm saying, look, Garrett, Sauce, Brees, all you guys that want new contracts, no one's getting one. You're going to have to ball out and prove that you deserve a contract to stay here. I didn't draft you. Let's earn our stripes. I think the only guys that I would like to see get a contract this offseason, I would look at Sherwood and I would look at 𝐒𝐿s. Those are the two in my mind that I think you can lock in for a little bit cheaper. But again, it kind of depends on who's coming in. So as far as would we consider ourselves lucky if Rodgers retires? It depends which route you kind of want to go. I understand people not wanting Rodgers at this point, so I'm not going to give much pushback on that, but I fall on the side of let's reload and see what a new coaching staff can do with all the talent, similar to what Green Bean was saying. Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, here's my stance on Rodgers for next season. I think you have to hire the GM and let the GM pick his coach. And then those two people have a conversation with Rodgers and see what's the vibe, because it's not going to be the Aaron Rodgers show. We're not bringing in every single person that Aaron Rodgers wants, or, he's not second in command behind Woody Johnson. It's the in order GM, coach, then quarterback in order of importance. And if that's something that he's okay with, fine, he could come back. I would probably still want to draft a quarterback and have him sit behind Aaron Rodgers for a year, because honestly, I think you need an eye for the future on this one. Mm-hmm. They tried to go all in with this. It hasn't worked. I think they need a new voice in there from both the GM and the coach. And if Aaron wants to come back for one more year and is okay with them still drafting a quarterback, that's fine, because you can't really cut him and get out of that contract too well unless you're, post June 1st cutting him there.
Yeah, it's kind of all on Rodgers right now. He's got a $35 million bonus that's supposed to hit probably right before free agency. I think that's what was supposed to happen. And then what happened when he reworked his contract with the Packers, it was moving his bonus to the start of the football season. And that's how they were able to kind of like maneuver that. So I think to get him to retire post June 1st, he would have to move that $35 million signing bonus. If he wants to play, then he's going to be able to play. And I think if he wants to come back, Woody Johnson's probably going to try and convince him to come back. That's his cash cow. That's his justification for upping the price of season tickets on our fans for another year of utter garbage. I don't know. Green Bean, what do you think? You want Rodgers to return next year, or would you rather see like new quarterback? You want him done, and you just want to keep the young players around?
Yeah, I'm done with it. you know, it's I'm not. It's a weird place to be because I am not one of the people that are saying he's washed, right? Like there are people that he's washed. I don't see washed. I just see a guy who's not good enough to do what we need to do. He's like he's probably gonna, if he makes it the whole season, he's probably gonna be the first 4,000-yard passer that we've had since Joe Namath. I mean, that can't be understated. Like whatever we've accomplished, as little as it may be, we've never been able to see that. Like, and I haven't seen it in my life. Not one time. I know you guys haven't. If I haven't seen it, I know you didn't. So it's like that. So he's not washed, but I just feel like the Hackett, you know, the whole Aaron Rodgers, like the added focus, the 7 primetime games to showcase. I mean, I don't want any of it. I think that, and you guys have heard me say this, we haven't won more than 7 games since 2015. Okay. And many of those years were 3 wins, 2 to 4 wins, whatever. And it's like, why in the world 2 years in a row did they, in their wisdom, put us on that many primetime games and make us have to endure this? Not even just in our own little pocket of the world, you know, 1 o'clock tucked, just a regional game. Nobody sees it. So at least we got, in front of everybody. Everybody's watching Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. And we got to look like this. And it's like, and they even said, the NFL said, we thought the Jets owed us for last year because if we lost our quarterback 4 plays in, we owe them. So like, and that's only because Aaron Rodgers is here. If it was Zach Wilson, if it was Mike White, if it was Jordan Travis, Tyrod Taylor, and it's not the case. And I'm just tired. I think this team really needs, it's like having a quarterback who's weather beaten, like just sitting on the bench for a year. Like we need to sit on the bench. You know, we need time. Let us prove something. Let us get an 8-win season and maybe look like we're on the upward swing before you put us on more than 1 damn primetime game. And it shouldn't be Monday night. It should be Sunday night. Like that's all we've earned is 1 Sunday night game. That's it. Just because it's fair is fair. You got to, you know, but it's like, I don't think this whole energy that he brings, if we're winning, it's a different story, right? But we're not. And a lot of it is him. You know, Baldy had that breakdown, that one play where he threw it into the back of his lineman and Conklin was right there. And it's like, I don't know what that is. There's a hesitance with him. We've seen it at least once or twice every game that, you know, he's pumping, you know, he's hesitant. He's going to throw a pass and he tries to hold on to the ball and it goes down and we got to argue if it's a fumble or if it's like, there's a lot of that going on. And he's not good enough for me to want to deal with the bullshit is what I'm saying. I'm just kind of, dude, you're 40 years old. You're going to be 41 next year. You look at, you know, I mean, is he going to get better? Is he going to age like a fine wine for next year? He looks significantly older this year to me than he did last year. Just his face, doesn't he? He looks thinner. He's much more gray. Just look at last year when I'm gonna send you some pictures. Look at when he signed.
From that then and now.
Yeah.
Right. It's like looking at like a Barack Obama, you know, young guy.
You get the president when he first gets in, and then like 8 years later, they just look distraught.
Yeah, he's this fucking wrinkled old man. Hello, you know, 4 years later, you know. You know, so I don't know.
I'm hearing.
I'm not hating.
I want to see under promise, over deliver. That's what I want to see.
Right.
Like that's the way it should be done. When you over promise, you can only fall short. And it's not that I don't want us to have aspirations to shoot for the stars and aim for a Super Bowl and go to the playoffs and all this different stuff. And when you sign Aaron Rodgers, you set the expectation up to be like to the nth degree, 100%. But it'd be nice to like have low expectations and like be pleasantly surprised. I mean, 2 years ago, when we had offensive rookie of the year and defensive rookie of the year, we were like, holy shit, we got 6 wins right now. Or 7 wins or whatever we were at. We're like, this feels pretty good. This is a bonus season. Like the first year of Rex Ryan getting into the playoffs, when we backed into the playoffs, it was like, well, we weren't supposed to be here. This is house money. Like, this is great. That was a fantastic feeling. I want to do that again. Let's have that again. That's what I want to see. 25 says, it is fire sale time. No reason for JD to be here. We're not even sure he's out there. We need a life alert out on Joe Douglas, see if he's still there. Nicholas comes in, says, maybe we need to convince Jeff Bezos to buy the team. Only guy that would give Woody an offer he can't refuse. It won't happen, but can't a man dream? Yeah, you know, if I needed a billionaire owner to come in here and buy, Cohen is the one that like jumps to the forefront of my mind because you could bring the Jets back to Queens or whatever. But, you know, I don't know if Mark Cuban just got out of the Mavericks. I don't know if he necessarily would step in. Bezos certainly has the money to do it. I'm surprised he wasn't in on like the Washington buy at all. I don't know. Anyone out there? Gary V is a popular name among Jets fans, but I don't think he's got the cachet to do that. Matt, anyone on your mind?
Let me tell you how important having good owners is. So I care about 3 teams in my life: the Jets, Islanders, and Mets. And when growing up, the New York Islanders had a horrible owner. They were really bad. They couldn't afford to keep the team, and things were really rough. There was even talks about moving the franchise to Kansas City. They didn't have their own arena. They had to go into the Barclays Center for a few years. Enter Scott Malkin, John Ledecky. They build a new arena. They hire real hockey people to run the franchise. They go to 2 Eastern Conference Finals and have made the playoffs in 5 of the last 6 seasons. The Mets, very cheap owners, metal in the way, whole thing. All right. They sell to Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen has all this money. He comes in, hires baseball people to do the baseball things. They go on a crazy run this year that no one expects, and they're set up in a really good spot going forward. The difference is ownership. The ownership really matters. And the Jets have an owner who gets in the way time and time and time again. He can't help himself. Yes, there's been outliers where they have had success, just like the Mets under Wilpon went to the World Series in 2015 and 2000 and 2006 had good teams, but it wasn't consistent, sustained success. And the biggest thing that would help this team would be an owner change. Unfortunately, though, it's not like we could all, get pitchforks and just like throw Woody out by his ankles and be like, all right, this is it. Now, like, someone else be our owner.
We got to get his emails. Yeah, that's what we got to do. Got to get his emails, leak them all over the place, and hopefully he's got some stuff in there like Dan Schneider.
Oh, he's saying some stuff.
Oh, yeah. The dude's name is Penis. He's got plenty of things on his, like, in his closet, skeletons and all that stuff.
Oh, you know it. He said some things, that guy. You know it. We got to find it.
We need a hacker. Chode comes in. Speaking of penis, I hated Tom Coughlin, but that's the kind of coach this team needs. A guy who isn't interested in bullshitting around and has no personality. So I do kind of like the idea of like the Rex Ryan style. Like I know Tom Coughlin and Rex Ryan, not really the same thing, but I feel like if you did want to bring Rex in, I think he would at least speak his mind to Woody and say, Woody, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm done with you. And like, at least kind of put people in their place. I don't really want him as the head coach necessarily. Defensive coordinator, say like, hey, Ben Johnson, come on in. You pick your GM. Let's do it that way. We'll get the best possible offensive mind in here. We'll pay you $1 zillion. Rex, you're coming back. We love you. Great. You could be the wiry old, defensive guy, and then insert whatever GM Ben Johnson can attract and say you could do whatever you want with the team. That's what I think. Matt, what are your thoughts on Rex Ryan and I guess the Tom Coughlin thought from Chode here?
I think Jet fans have selective memory. They only remember the first couple of years of Rex Ryan and not like the last 4 or his other 2 years in Buffalo. Unfortunately, I love Rex and my 2 favorite years of Jets fandom to Rex Ryan in 2009 and 2010. The issue was as he got his hands more and more on the roster, things began to go very, very poorly for him here. I also think that from like 2012, even through the end of his tenure with the Buffalo Bills in 2016, I think his defense took a step back. The NFL is a lot different now than it was 15 years ago and 20 years ago when he was the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. I love that Rex Ryan goes on television and speaks with fire and passion and genuinely cares about being a New York freaking Jet. But I need more than he cares and was good 15 years ago for me to be like, yeah, let's get back in the Rex Ryan wagon. I think we're being too selective and not remembering how things unfortunately ended with his tenure. I do agree with what Chode is bringing up, though, like bringing in someone who is like a well-respected guy like Tom Coughlin, a proven, well-respected guy. That is the direction that I would like to see the Jets go, with either the VP of football operations, the coach, or the general manager.
Want to hear my passion hope for next year right now? At least this is my early season like thoughts on where I'd like this to go. Rex is kind of like if we had to go the Adam Gase 2-year stopgap, almost like the Texans when, you know, was it Cawley or whatever the hell his name was, the coach that stepped in when Watson like sat out a year and then was getting traded and they couldn't hire anyone. Like that's the kind of coach we're almost in line for. And if that's the sort of situation, I'm okay kind of rolling the dice on a Rex for 2 years. But for me, I want a former head coach that is going to have a little bit of fire. And I think the coach that could do that in this particular division, a coach that was here once before, not with the Jets, but Brian Flores. I know it's not the it's defensive-minded head coach, but you bring him in, you bring Josh McCown in as the OC, and then you get Sammy Boy back, and we're running it back with Sammy Boy. That's what's going to happen.
Ew.
Flores pissed off at the Dolphins, pissed off at the Patriots. At least he'd have a little fire in his belly. Green Bean, what are your thoughts?
I don't know why we continue. I'm gonna say with everything. Now I know you're having some fun, right? And I'm not against like a McCown upgrade, to offensive coordinator.
I would be fine with Flores though. Like in all seriousness, I don't think that's
Flores,
a bad move.
I don't either. And
The
you know,
Darnold
ain't
part
no
was a little
bullshit going
tongue-in-cheek.
on. Woody's not going to play any games because Flores will tell on you. You know what I mean? Flores go right to the fucking papers. You know what I mean? He's like, that's it. I'll tell you what's going on around here for real. So, yeah, I mean, I would sign up for that. But the whole Jets fan, like even like the Sammy Darnold, Rex Ryan, it's like every one of those things. And as soon as I hear it, I'm like backwards. You know what I mean?
I think
like
the difference is they're all together right now. Like McCown is Sam Darnold's
McCown and Sammy are, and Flores.
Yeah,
right?
and Flores, all three of them are together. That's sort of what sparked the wait a second. Not that I think Sam would necessarily come back after we trade him away,
and I don't think he should, dude.
No, I think he's going to go to LA. I think he's going to the Rams.
I think they're going to sign him. I think that the hope of a rookie coming off a knee injury and being, I think they see what they got. They're just going to lock him up. Happens all the time. He's playing lights out, So, but I don't know. I think like the whole Rex thing too is weird, but to, get to Nick's super chat. If that is that still up?
Not Chode.
No, it's Chode. Let me see what it is.
I hated Tom Coughlin, but he's the kind of coach a team needs.
Right on. Yeah, no, I'm a big believer. I'm the same way. I mean, like, how many times have you heard me say it? Like, I want someone like in the game when it's happening to be able to tell somebody enough is enough. We're not dealing with any more of that bullshit today. One more time and you're sitting. And that's the way that it would go. That whole tree did that. He's very much the Parcells tree. And that's the kind of stuff that we need. This team, there's none of it, man. We saw Saleh. We made fun of him for years. Whenever things were going poorly, he just stood on the sideline and paced around with the stoic look. And then when we're scoring touchdowns, he's running up and down the field like a maniac. And like, you need somebody like a coach, in my opinion, is during the game is when they really are supposed to work. Like, yes, the preparing and game planning, it's all part of it, right? But during the game is the work. And we never see that. It's like everybody's just like, oh, well, our plan's not working. We have it all scripted. I mean, it's just, and I think that having that fire, somebody with the balls to call somebody out. I was really hoping that Ulbricht had some of that. And not to say that he doesn't have it somewhere in there, but they're all a mess. They like each other. They're all good buddies. And they're just they're not gonna pull their good friends. And that's what it is, in my opinion. There's an enmeshment going on here that is unhealthy for an organization. So yeah, I would love a guy like a Tom Coughlin. Somebody with some balls. That's all I really require.
Vrabel's the one that really comes to mind as like a smart dude. I feel like he can be that overseer of everything. I don't know. Dom thought Vrabel might go to Ohio State, go the college route instead of sticking in the pros. I don't know. We'll see.
What would you think, though, about hiring Vrabel? Like just going out, would he just negotiate with Vrabel now and say, hey, you pick the GM and just like you're the boss and you get a guy that's just going to pick your players and like just go at it that way. Like he's the respected name. He's the guy who did a lot with little. You know, and look, again, continually lost his offensive coordinators, didn't have the greatest quarterback in the world. They were always competitive, made it to a championship game. He was the coach of the year, and then he was fired the next year. It's like it was kind of a weird situation where I feel like he got a bum deal. Similar to like Andy Reid in Philly. He was clearly a great coach. Just couldn't get them over that hump. And when they fired him, it was like somebody's getting a great coach.
Oh, yeah. It felt very much like it was just his time has expired, right? Like with Reed, it was just like, hey, it's not you. It's just we just need a fresh message. That's all it was. And I think Flores and Vrabel are both two coaches that got fired that had me scratching my head. Those two guys in particular that are out there are the ones I'm kind of keying in on, I guess. Boogie Down Bronx says, this really sucks. Jets really suck. And this is supposed to be a weak draft as far as quarterbacks go. I'm not crazy about Sanders. What do you boys? So I have not started doing my draft analysis yet. I'll say right now the same thing I said to Dom yesterday. I do not want Primetime or Sanders near this team whatsoever. I'm done with the circus. I don't want it. I don't want it at all. As far as quarterback goes, if the new coach or whoever finds a quarterback they like at the top of the draft, green light, draft them. I don't care. I think in my mind, I would almost prefer to go with the best available player at either offensive line or defensive line. I don't even necessarily know if that's like the correct position group to tackle right now, but those are the two areas I'm looking at, and then maybe use our second round pick to come back up into the first to get a quarterback that's falling. Maybe the expectations are a little bit lower than drafting someone inside the top 10 or something like that. I mean, we've tried the top 10 picks multiple times. We've tried the veteran quarterback multiple times. I'm at a loss. I don't really know which way to go. Matt, your thoughts on drafting a quarterback and Sanders?
Shedeur Sanders cannot come to the Jets. There's a chance that he could be a very good quarterback at the next level, but it sure as hell is not going to be with the Jets. The thought of the Jets circus that is just here already to begin with, plus Shedeur, plus Dion, is too much. It's too much. We have enough problems to go through something like that. My lean right now, and I'm very early, but Cam Ward, I think, is the quarterback that I like the best right now. Again, it's October. I didn't anticipate scouting quarterbacks again. So it's not like I've watched a ton of tape and stuff on all these guys, but I think Cam Ward has looked the best out of these quarterbacks coming out of college. That's the name that keeps popping up for people, I think. Dom and I talked a little bit briefly. I don't even think Dom's done a crazy ton of research just yet on this. He did say that Cam has the highest amount of turnover-worthy plays right now. Not that
Oh, good. Then he should be. He's perfect.
I know, right?
That's our guy.
Like, son of a bitch.
Why look any deeper than that? That's our guy.
I don't know. Greenby, what do you think about Sanders?
I don't know shit. I don't know. I haven't looked at anything, like Matt said. Dude, I refuse, dude. I'm not. Because here's the thing. I actually love mock season. Like, I love it. And it, like, the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, it has gotten to the point where, like, there's 10 million mocks every day on Twitter, right? It's like mock Monday, mock Tuesday, mock Wednesday, mock, and it's like, it's like, it used to be like a really fun thing that we did, right? But it's like now, so when you add more mocks and then you start doing it earlier, by the time that it's actually mock season, we're kind of mocked out. We've done everything, and it's like I don't like to do that. Like I need to enjoy that because that's the only time of year I get to enjoy football is draft season.
There's hope. We're building something.
Yeah, we're building, baby. So it's like I really need to preserve that. Like, and I'm not taking any shots at guys that do that. I'm just saying for me, I can't allow it. I cannot do it because by the time, remember when we were doing like the year that we traded for Aaron Rodgers, we had deconstructed Jimmy G, Minshew, Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers so much by the time that it was like we were done talking about quarterbacks. It was boring. And I don't want to do that. Like we got to wait. We got to just live and suffer in the pain of the bullshit. And then when mock comes around, it's like opening up the doors in the spring, the first spring day. It's mock season. You know what I mean?
Dom and I started talking about doing like just watching some primetime games or something like college games that are like, oh, let's highlight some players and keep an eye on stuff because this Jet season is just killing us. JETS for life says, I never miss a show. Your opinions on Jordan Travis. Kid is a winner. Could he be what has eluded us for so long? He is a raffle ticket. I like the raffle ticket. I wanted us to draft him last year. He would not prevent me from going after a quarterback high if there was a quarterback that we liked. If they decided there wasn't a quarterback they liked, let's give it one more year with Jordan Travis sitting behind either Aaron Rodgers or even Jordan Travis competing with Tyrod Taylor. That's fine with me too. I'm not sold on. I could go any different way. I'm not like locked into one particular spot here. Matt, any thoughts on Travis?
For me, if he turns into something great, but as he said, he's not stopping you from going out there and drafting a quarterback this year if that's the plan. He hasn't taken any practice snaps yet. We have no idea what this guy looks like. You're just going to base the future of the franchise off him. If it hits, great. I'm not banking on him turning into much.
Green Bean, your thoughts on Travis?
Matt nailed it. What, like a la Hackenberg style? Let's not take Mahomes.
Don't take Mahomes or Watson.
Yeah. We got Hack. Oh, he's played well in games? No, he hasn't taken a snap yet. But we love him. We don't need we don't need no stinking first round quarterback. I know, like if we're up there, it's such a crazy thing, right? Because the last time that we were in that position, right, when we had the number 2 overall pick, the discussion was, well, there's really 2 ways to go about it. We needed a quarterback. We had Sam, so you could have another way. But it's like the 2 schools of thought are, we're like, okay, well, this is an opportunity to gain capital. It's a valued pick. You can get a haul, or you take your quarterback of the future if you believe that one's there. If we're up there with Aaron Rodgers, clearly, I think it's over. I would be very surprised if we're running it back with Aaron. I just don't see a path that happens without just having to keep this whole coaching staff. I mean, I don't see it. So, you think Aaron Rodgers is going. Jordan Travis is a nice guy to compete. And who knows? I like him too. I wanted to draft him. I like him. But if you're up there in the top 3, and there's a Jaden Daniels sitting there, which, by the way, look, we all knew who was going to go number 1 in last year's draft, but many of us looked at Jaden Daniels and said, that's the guy. Not that, what's his name? What's the guy at the Chicago Court? I just can't find it in my brain.
Caleb Williams. I was on Daniels. Daniels was my guy. That was my number. I did not like Williams.
Yeah. I mean, and he's playing, they look good too, but so it is what it is. But, like just because you don't have the first overall pick doesn't mean that you can't get the right quarterback, So if you're up there that high and you like somebody, in my opinion, you got to go for it. Now, whether or not you start them and maybe you keep a Tyrod Taylor and do what the Patriots did for a batch of games with Brissett, and then you kind of fold them in a little bit into the season kind of a thing. Whatever you do, it's fine. But if we happen to completely implode and just continue to go this way and we end up with a top 2 or 3 pick, I think quarterback is probably the way to go, depending if there is one worthy of taking there.
Sky C says, what percentage are each of you as a Jet fan? 100%. I'm not a fan of any other team. I don't know if there's another way to read this.
I don't understand the question.
Well, Sky C had the comment earlier. He said, I'm down to 1% as a Jets fan.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, look, I'm still 100% a Jet fan. It's more so just not the enthusiasm, but maybe the rage of like you're not going to see me throwing shit unless we're like at the very end of the season and we lose a game or we win a game that's totally fucking meaningless and it knocks us out of contention for like a quarterback. Like I might get angry at the very, very last game or two, but like right now I don't really care. I don't really care. Like anything could happen. We could win on Thursday. We could lose on Thursday. My mood's not really going to change. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Prospect. With Dom C. What's up, Dom? He says, Flores McCown 2025. That's my co-host over there. Dude, we were talking ourselves in circles. I was like, Dom, this is where I'm landing. There's a lot worse ways we could go. Ace of Spades.
I would
says,
sign
Green
up for
Bean.
that in a second. I would.
Dude, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's actually like a pretty solid combo because I think Flores wants the second shot. I thought he was a good coach when he was here. I do like Vrabel, though. If you get Vrabel, that's probably the route I'd want to go. And then I don't know. I feel like those are guys that want their second shot and would be like kind of itching to get back into it, where they may not necessarily be like the top guys at other for other roles elsewhere. So we can get guys.
They're
that
both
want,
the kind
almost
of
like
guys. I'm sorry, please. I'm sorry, Ryan. Please.
No, well, I was just going to say that it's almost like a Rex Ryan where he wants to be here because he bleeds green. I don't think Flores bleeds green, but I think McCown would be more than happy to come back. I think Flores would be licking his chops to go against the Dolphins. Like, that's the type of, like, sort of vitriol and hate that, like, brings a passion to a team. And I think I could sign up for something like that.
Dude, McCown would love to come back. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was McCagnon at the time, but the Jets gave him $10 million to be a backup a year that we could have got him for $2 million. We just gave him $10 million. Hey, come on back. We got extra cash. Here's $10 million. I forget what I was going to say. I cut you off. I was going to say something. What were you saying?
I was just talking about how Flores, McCown, you know, they're guys that other teams may not necessarily be knocking down the door for.
Well, you know what's cool about Flores and Vrabel as options is both of them, when they were fired, I think collectively around the NFL, you went, really? Like, it was surprising. Wow. I didn't see either one of those coming. Where conversely, like Adam Gase getting fired and rehired, it was like, dude, he was on the down. Like, he was clearly a mess. And so it's like getting a coach that has that coaching experience. So we're not the team that they stumble and bumble through learning the ropes, which is what we continually do more times than not. Getting a guy that was already a good coach fired in a way that wasn't like because they just sucked, like a Jeff Fisher had like 4 years and and he was just, he sucked, and then he was a good coach a little while, so they gave him another chance, but he was on his downswing and just what, you know what I mean? It's a different story. Vrabel and Flores are both guys that I think, like you said, are looking for that next shot to prove like them firing me was a mistake. I'm a good coach and want to make that noise and prove to the NFL. So, and they've already learned the ropes. They've already run a team and they've already had success. So I think either one of those are intriguing. They're different than some of these guys that get fired and, shouldn't be rehired.
Ace comes in. Ace says, Green Bean, Garrett Wilson will likely want out if Aaron Rodgers is gone. Maybe. I've kind of been beating that drum for a little bit now. I don't know if it's necessarily accurate or not. It's kind of the vibe I've felt, for sure. And I think the story about Garrett Wilson, there's teams that want to trade for him, check on his availability, the contract, they'll pay him all that. It wouldn't shock me if Garrett Wilson's agent was the one kind of leaking that to almost like make it kind of known, like, hey, our contract's coming down the pipeline. But I don't know. We'll go through it. We're gonna go over to Matt in just a second, but I just want to rip through a few of these, try to catch up here. John says Jets should take a look at the Knicks. James Dolan is a clueless owner, but hired Leon Rose to be president of the team, then got out of the way. Knicks super well run now. Yeah, I mean, we just got to find someone that can be our, Leon Rose. That's the whole crux of it, because clearly Woody Johnson hired he didn't hire, I guess Chris Johnson hired Joe Douglas, and the thought was this is a football guy. We're going to get out of the way and he's just going to run the show. And then Woody just steps right over him. So like what guy is going to want to come in here after the football guy just got walked all over? Kind of frustrating. Dante says Matt is a Jets, Mets, Islanders fan. Is Matt from Long Island? Yes, he is. Because only Long Islanders love those exact teams. Much love either way.
Yeah. What gave it away? What gave it away that I was a Long Island guy?
It's kind of an outside the box thought, I guess. Pluto says, I don't care what we do. Can we just get some dominant offensive linemen through the draft, trade up, do what's necessary, dog? So let's steer this conversation briefly into thoughts about AVT because his contract is getting kind of heavy. I guess some of it may hinge on what we decide to do. I like AVT. I like the flexibility he provides. Dom and I were kind of talking if he would accept like a 3-year $30 million or a 4-year $40 million type deal would put him right around like 10th through like 15th of like interior offensive linemen, like guards. I would be on board with keeping him. I don't like that we consistently get injuries from him, but I would be willing to keep him around along with Tippmann, along with Olu, and then it's just less pieces you have to figure out immediately, and you're probably talking about like 2 years of guaranteed money at that point. Or do you let him go into the final year of his contract and you just sort of let it roll? Because I think he's already at like 14 or 15 million, so a 10 million, like a $5 million difference may not really kill you either way. You may not care about it. Bean, what are your thoughts on AVT?
It's a tough one, man. He's clearly a good player, but he has yet to play a full season without it. Now, the first season, technically speaking, he did play in every game, but he didn't finish every game. So he was banged up a little bit his rookie season. We lost him for 2 years, and now he's out. Do we know when he's coming back?
I'm not sure.
There's no word on that yet, right? So, I mean, how much can you invest in a guy? You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they should probably, you have to explore it, but let's see, you know, I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a tough one with him because, you know, like they say, the best ability is availability. He has not brought that to the table yet. And it's sad because he's a badass, but he's only getting older too. You know what I mean? Like it's just, as it goes on, he just keeps missing games. Yeah, at some point you got to say, you know, I don't know. I mean, and like you said, Ryan, if he's willing to take a contract that's less for 2 years and just kind of earn it, but he's still making good money, but he's, you know, if he's willing to do that, I don't know. Somebody else might be willing to blow the doors off. So,
Matt, your thoughts on AVT?
Might just have to see him go.
Yeah, I'm not giving him a contract after this year. I think I let it go into the 5th-year option and then play it from there. I just think with the 3rd year in a row with an injury, we'll see how many games he ends up missing, but I don't feel comfortable handing out a 3 or 4 year extension with the injuries.
So his cap hit next year really isn't that bad. So I kind of take back my statement of like the $10 million a year because he's getting 15. So you're really only saving $5 million. And I think you'd probably rather have him perform in a contract year and then, you know, maybe test the market or try to re-sign him after that. He's the type of player that I'd almost rather be put over a barrel after overperforming, or maybe you just let him walk. He's 25 right now. So I don't know, next year, 26, maybe something changes. We've got Johnny says, frankly, my dears, I don't give a damn anymore. Little
Johnny.
Action. I like it.
Johnny's good. He's a good guy.
Jet Dog comes in and
says,
fire. Jet Dog comes in, says, next head coach should have a resume like Sean Payton's. If not possible, someone like Dan Quinn, who's respected in the NFL, when he walks in the doors, knows what he's doing. Please, not the hot coordinator as a first-time head coach. Yeah, I'm not really like super in love with the first-time hire. Although you could convince me if like Ben Johnson, if you could get a Ben Johnson in here and you can pair him with someone who was a former head coach, someone like a Rex Ryan, or I don't know, just a guy that's floating out there as a defensive coordinator that could kind of at least have some wisdom in a room. That I'd be okay with. I wouldn't mind going the young offensive-minded route because we just haven't gone that route since the 90s. So I don't know. Matt, what are your thoughts on the thoughts of going either like a Sean Payton route or Dan Quinn route with a respected NFL coach?
Yeah, I think it's got to be that. I Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, Joe Brady. I like those guys, and I think that there's a chance that they could turn into a head coach. But we've seen this team specifically in this franchise, and also the market too, just spit up, chew up, spit out coaches. Time and time again. I don't feel comfortable with that right now. I want to go the proven head coach at this level.
Bean, what about you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's look, everybody wants the young, exciting guy, and it's unfortunate that the two guys that have the experience that are really worthy happen to be defense again. I'm with it, but I agree with what Matt just said. Like, we chew him up and we spit him out because we're watching a guy like we don't have it in us to afford somebody the opportunity to learn. We don't have it. If it's a quarterback, if it's a coach, if it's a general manager. I mean, people like to throw the 2020 draft class like it's his first ever draft. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe they're right. I don't know. But we are significantly harder on people, and we've done it time and time again. We talked about it. I think it was last week, maybe. Yes, we did take a shot on Gase as an experienced coach. Terrible hire. No Jets fan. I mean, probably less than 5% of Jets fans thought it was a good hire. So we knew right off the bat. But it's like, other than him, it's Parcells, Kotite, all the way back to Weeb. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, we hire rookie head coaches. That's what we do. And like, we hire first-time GMs and we hire first-time head coaches, and we really love to give them a first-time rookie quarterback. That's what we love. We love it. That's our favorite formula. Get a bunch of people who've never done it before and put them in the most aggressive meat grinder of a market and say, save us. You know, that's what we like to do. So can we please stop? Yes, I know we want an offensive-minded coach, but if Vrabel, don't forget, Vrabel, two of his offensive coordinators got hired as head coaches. So Arthur Smith and Matt LaFleur. So he knows how to hire quality offense. You know, he's like, and that's the thing. It's like a Harbaugh. Like, yes, he's a special teams coach, man. That's what he did. And you don't have to, if you're a defensive coach, like, you can hire competent offense and still be involved as the head coach and make sure that the offense is running good. We hire guys that are solely what they do. Adam Gase with Greg Williams, he called Greg Williams the head coach of the defense. There's no such thing, dude. There's no such thing in the world. Yeah, that's what he said. Saleh, clearly not involved in the offense. So much so that he had to say, I'm going to be more involved in the offense. What is that? I'm going to be more involved in half my fucking team? Like, that doesn't make any sense. You're the head coach. Rex Ryan, same thing. Don't forget this about Rex Ryan, guys. Todd Bowles and Rex Ryan, each of them had 3 offensive coordinators when they were our coach. So it's like this idea that they don't know half of the ball. You need a guy that's a head coach. And when you bring a hotshot coordinator in, there's no guarantee that they're going to be able to do that. They only know one thing. The Jets are not the place to give somebody the patience and time needed for them to figure it out. If they don't come right out of the gate in the first 5 games, if they don't look like they got it, we are up their asses. And we make it that much harder. It's just the truth. And our media is even worse.
So, interesting comment here from Dante. I'm going to jump a little bit here. What about offensive coordinator as a head coach, Todd Monken? I loved Todd Monken down in Tampa Bay. He was a head coach for Southern Miss. Had 1 win his first year, 4 wins his second year, 9 wins his third year. I think it was just those 3 years he was the head coach. And then he wound up leaving there to go to Tampa Bay, became the offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach for 2 years with Jameis Winston. That was the 30 for 30 year, if I'm not mistaken. He was the offensive coordinator solely in 2018, went to the Browns as an offensive coordinator, was the OC and quarterbacks coach for Georgia from 2020 to 2022, and is now currently, for last year and this year, the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. That's someone I wouldn't mind given his resume of like being around the league. I think he's shown some success there. Interesting thought. Matt, your thoughts on Monken?
That's the exception to the rule for me. And it's because he's an older guy. He's not just like the young hot shot. And like, if you ever listen to him talk, he is a no nonsense, I don't give a F guy. Like he's not like, the scared 35-year-old who, got Sean McVay coffee for 5 minutes and now is going to be a head coach. Like this is a little different. So I know that kind of goes against what I was saying with my preference, but for me, honestly, like I'm Vrabel, Todd Monken, or Stefanski, I would say are like probably my 3 favorite options right now. Subject to change. It is still only freaking October. It's not even Halloween yet. We're talking about coaches for next year.
Stefanski might wind up winning Coach of the Year again if Winston just goes on some magical run. At this point, they just beat the Ravens.
I am a Monken guy. I like Monken. I was a big fan of him in 2019. That was one of my favorites.
Bean, what do you think about Monken?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you guys raised good points about him. I was never the biggest Monken fan. Like when he was in that head coaching, carousel, so to speak, I was not on board with Monken. I think I don't know. He might be the exception to the rule. And for the points that you guys laid out, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. I just want a guy. I would prefer, my first choice is somebody who's been a head coach. He still has to learn the position. You know what I mean? Like he's never done it. And I'm just sick of that.
We have an ad read coming up. Mr. Matt O'Leary.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about my bookie, ladies and gentlemen. In a year full of surprises, underdog wins, and all the so-called experts getting it wrong, my bookie is the one book that's got your back no matter what. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action with you in total control. Think you're going to roll the dice with those other guys? Good luck. At my bookie, it's never been about guessing. It's about giving you the edge. So every bet you place comes with confidence and a plan. If you know football and love to win, my bookie was made just for you. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we got you covered. Step up, use our code TalkinJets, and that'll double your bankroll with a 100% match deposit bonus right from the jump. That's more money, more power to make winning plays. If you've been betting with us already, we've got something to share with you too. With MyBookie Plus, the new loyalty rewards program, you can now earn extra cash just for doing what you do. More plays, more wins, more cash in your account, no strings attached. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie, the sports book that gives you control and rewards you for every moment of play.
Thank you,
MyBookie,
for sponsoring the channel. MyBookie, support the channel, help us out. Use our code TalkinJets. We've got Sorless in here. Brings up an interesting question that I think is fun to go back and forth with, not just about the specific player, but he says, if Minnesota re-signs Darnold, would you guys be open to us trading for J.J. McCarthy instead of drafting a quarterback early? If they go that way in the offseason. So I was thinking about this today, not necessarily about J.J. McCarthy. I kind of figured he'd wind up staying in Minnesota, but someone like, an Anthony Richardson who just does not look very good right now is a block of clay. Again, I don't know which head coach comes in here and would want that, but I would be open to exploring a quarterback that's just kind of out there. Like, maybe has fallen under, maybe a bad coaching staff or fallen out of favor. The taking himself out of the game is something I really don't like about Richardson. That happened this past week. That was really friggin' screwy. I don't know. Matt, is there any quarterback out there that you'd be interested in trading for that might be a little bit younger?
I think JJ, possibly. Richardson, I don't know if the Jets have the coaching staff, even with the changes that they can make in the offseason, to take on a major project like that. I don't want to take on someone else's mess. At least with JJ, like, we haven't seen him in the NFL yet, so there's a little bit more allure there to that one for me. It's not my preferred route. If I had to choose one, I would lean with JJ over Richardson. Richardson's just a little too raw for me.
Bean, what about you? What do you think? Is there a younger quarterback out there that you'd be open to trading for? Let's call it a second-round pick is what you got to give up. JJ, I think you'd have to give up a first right now. But let's say maybe a second round pick and a guy that maybe has fallen out of favor somewhere. Is there a player like that out there?
For our starter?
Maybe. I mean, it could be competing with Tyrod and Travis. Like I don't think trading a second round pick for a former first round pick quarterback or a high upside, kind of guy necessarily locks you into them being a starter. It probably gives them the upper hand, obviously, but if the option is maybe, draft a guy in the second round or trade for one that might have had a higher ceiling at some point, does that tickle your fancy at all?
No, not so much, man. I mean, I'm not giving up a second round pick for a guy who's likely going to be a backup. Like, like you can use a second round pick on guys that are going to impact the team. So I don't know. And McCarthy, I mean, would I trade for McCarthy? That would be annoying to me because we could have just taken him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I hate that kind of stuff. And I don't want to be bound to that. Like if I was the actual GM, I wouldn't allow myself to be bound to like, well, I did this, so I can't do that. Like that's just silliness. But as a fan, I don't want to do that. But I don't think I think the Vikings would be idiots. Like even if you extend Sam and do that whole thing, you keep him. I mean, you just do the Green Bay model. You know what I mean? Like you just develop this kid for a couple of years. I mean, I think it would be silly for them to do that. So I don't think that's real soreless. But there's not really too many other people I'm looking to make a trade for unless they were like, they had a real chance of like being my starting quarterback. You know what? You know who'd be a good idea? He's been stewing with a very good offensive coach for like the whole season. He's got the strong arm, great mobility. What about Zach Wilson? What would you give up?
What would I give up? God,
cute as a button.
Another year of my life. That's what I would do. No, I don't want to do that at all. Not doing it. Not a shot.
No? Oh, okay.
No, you had me going there, Green Bean.
I could be on board with like any number of quarterbacks. Yeah, hey, Rodgers retires. Hey, Devontae, hang around. We'll trade for Carr. We could have had him at one point. We're going to trade for Carr now, and Carr's coming back.
I know.
That's the kind of bullshit we'd run into. Julian comes in.
I just feel like fresh.
Just clean slate across the board. None of this bullshit.
Right. Fresh.
Julian says, I'm something and a diehard BYU fan. Hope you guys don't draft Jake Retzlaff. Draft another quarterback. I can tell you right now, I don't know where he's at in his age, if he's draft eligible, but I don't want to touch a BYU quarterback for another 100 fucking years. I'm so done with BYU quarterbacks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
someone else can go.
This is definitely a Zach Wilson truther in hiding. So tell your story, Walker, pal.
Douglas says Pennington was the 18th pick, O'Brien was the 24th pick, and they're two of the best quarterbacks in franchise history. Yeah, the rookie quarterback pay scale changed a lot. You don't get. I mean, you could still get quarterbacks later in a draft. Like Lamar was the 32nd pick in the draft. There's guys that you can get later. I think a lot of it has to be with like a well built up team, and you let the guy sit for at least a little bit where the pressure's not 110% on him all the way. Like even Patrick Mahomes sat for a year. The Texans were a built up team when they traded up for Watson. I don't know. I'm open to any route. I don't think you necessarily have to trade all the way up to the top. I don't think you have to blow the war chest for it. Maybe it's just building, and then, if the opportunity presents itself, then you strike. I don't know. Matt, your thoughts on sort of sitting and picking?
Yeah, you know what? I think it would be in the Jets' best interest to do something that they haven't done in a long time, which is take a quarterback in the first round and not toss them into the fire right away. And maybe let them don't trade away Garrett Wilson, so you have actual people that this guy could eventually throw to, and maybe build a good offensive staff around him, try to have a good functional offensive line, things like that. Let's try to idiot proof it for our young quarterback here.
Bean, you seem to be in agreement.
Oh, I could not agree more. It's a funny thing, when we talk about what seems obvious to us, right? Like, you know, we're very close to the team. We watch the team. We, you know, coaches come in and they're trying to, you know, build a team. Like they come from San Francisco and they're trying to emulate. Like they don't know what this is. Like we know what this is. So it's like the idea of hiring another rookie head coach. We're like, dude, it's like it's never gonna. It's highly unlikely to work. It's an uphill battle. The same thing applies with what Matt just said. It's like if we're gonna do this. Like, and I'm a big fan. Like, if we're in the top 2 or 3, I'm a big fan. If there's a quarterback, I don't want to force the issue and just take a quarterback for the sake of taking a quarterback. But if there's somebody there that you're like, hey, this guy, he's the real deal, you do it. And then you do exactly what Matt just said. You have a Tyrod Taylor in the house and you let him go out there and play for the first, you know, half of the season, let's say. And, you know, or even full season if you're competitive and things are going well, and you let them learn. And like you said, Ryan, and you don't blow up the whole thing. So he comes in, he's got no offensive line, he's getting killed, he's got nobody to throw to. You're hiring guys off the street week 9. Like it's what we've been doing for far too long. And it seems so simple, but they just don't get it. They just don't get it. So, which is why I'm a fan of turning the team over to us.
Joe M says, if we're looking for a quarterback, do we want mobile or pocket guy? Mobile all damn day. I want athletic.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
can help give us like the, you know, hey, the offensive line isn't perfect. AVT went down for a little bit. Oh, you know, Morgan Moses is missing a little bit of time. Well, guess what? We can move out of the pocket and now create those big play opportunities. That's where Rodgers, you know, earned his salt. Being able to escape the pocket, create extended time, and then rip the ball downfield. That's where broken plays happen. We've seen that through quarterback, you know, throughout. And us not being able to have the threat of at least a 5 or 10 yard run potentially occasionally is very frustrating to watch this offense. Like that's what we're missing from a Zach Wilson. Like Zach Wilson had the arm talent, he had the speed, but he just didn't have it between the ears to put it all together. Like the athletic specimen that is Zach Wilson, that's kind of what I'd like. You know, obviously the head's got to be a little bit better. Matt, mobile quarterback?
Yeah, I'm not saying the guy has to be a Lamar Jackson, but he's got to be able to move. It can't be like a Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers kind of quarterback anymore. You have to be able to utilize your legs a little bit to extend plays, to escape pressure, and when it's not there, just tuck it and run. You mentioned Rodgers at the beginning of his career. I think that's a good comparison for the style of quarterback that I'm looking for. Someone who is a passer first, but can also run when need be.
Bean, how about you? Running quarterback, mobile quarterback, or pocket passer?
Well, that's one of the reasons I like Jordan Travis so much. Now, there's a concern there, right? Which is why you don't use the 3rd round pick on him, right? So. But I'm ready. I come from an era where, you know, you want your quarterback just to be in the pocket. You protect a laser accurate, you know, strong arm, the whole thing. But I am ready, dude. I want a guy running around, making people miss 30 yards, scampers. I don't give a shit if every play's broken and he just runs all day. I don't care anymore. I want athleticism. I'm ready for that type of thing. And I have been for a little while, to be honest with you. But it's like at this point, like if you have the choice, we're starting fresh and all things are equal. One guy brings the feet and the other guy doesn't. I'm taking feet.
NJBLT says Joe Brady and Ron Rivera or Matt Nagy. Ron Rivera is an interesting one paired with Joe Brady. It's not really the route I want to go. I don't think I really want either one of those two as my head coach. The tandem's interesting. If you wanted to pair them together under Vrabel, sure, green light. But Joe Brady's an offensive coordinator already on a solid team. Bean, any thoughts about Brady and Rivera or Nagy?
Yeah, I don't want Joe Brady, dude.
On Rivera, Matt Nagy. What year is this?
Yeah,
well, I can understand you wanting Rivera being a former, because I had mentioned earlier having a defensive-minded former head coach that is a defensive coordinator with a up-and-coming offensive coordinator. I liked Joe Brady a few years ago. I don't really want him as my head coach right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're in agreement.
I don't want the rookie guy. You know, I'm sorry, NJBLT. Like I hear you, and they're like, you know, Ben Johnson, Joe Brady. There's exciting names out there, But why? So we can bring
Ben
him in here
Johnson's
and
team
chew
just
him up?
drops so many points all the time. Like Johnson's the one that I can get behind. And part of the reason why, like, I understand we don't want to go for the hot name, but we always go for the hot name on the defensive side. Like the guys that are the hot name on the offensive side don't always work out, but when they do, they don't leave their team. Like they're kind of locked in there.
It's a good point. We haven't taken a shot on a hot young offensive guy in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long.
We're talking 30 years. Like it's a, unless you're counting Gase as
shot,
like,
the last hot shot offensive guy that we brought in was Bruce Coslet.
well before my time.
Bruce Coslet, everybody. I mean, Joe Walton, you can make the case, but he was already here. He was like promoted when Walt Michaels departed the team. So, but like Bruce Coslet, he was Boomer Esiason's offensive coordinator in Cincinnati when they lost the Super Bowl. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. So I mean, there is an argument that might actually, that's a seed that is finding purchase in my mind. Like when I lump all young coordinators together, the truth is we haven't really done that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I am ready for a young punk to come in here with all piss and vinegar, throw the ball all over the joint, get a running quarterback.
If Daboll shook free from the Giants, I would jump on him in a minute. I think Daboll's a good coach. I would go after Daboll.
Yeah. Yeah, he was the guy I wanted in that last cycle. I mean, I wanted the guys that they didn't interview, but as the guys we interviewed, I was all Daboll, 100%.
Joe M says, also, is it Tyrod Taylor time? I don't think we're going to see Tyrod as long as Rodgers is healthy. This week, I thought there was a chance with Rodgers' leg being iffy, but it sounds like he's going to go. I would be very surprised if they pulled the plug on Rodgers at any point this season without him being injured. Matt, you think they'd pull the plug on Rodgers?
No, not like you said, not unless he's hurt. I don't think they do it.
Bean, what about you? They pull the plug on Rodgers at all?
No, but imagine he needed a week or two.
And Tyrod just caught fire.
And the offense is just burning, like everything we thought. Imagine. What do you do?
Dude, now I get excited because now at least you roll into next season with like, okay, this team's got it. We're cutting Rodgers and we're bringing someone else in. Like, then you got some hope. Even if you got Tyrod for another year, now you're talking just get another quarterback. That's how you get the fan base hyped up. Not that I'm hoping for any sort of injury to Rodgers, but I also was kind of looking forward to Tyrod getting into that Vikings game.
Yeah, I remember we were like, okay. Well, yeah, we thought, and then Rodgers he was off the field for like 30 seconds, put his helmet back on and ran back out. I was like, oh. I know, I was kind of rooting for it. It sucks to say that.
What do you think, Matt? Tyrod Taylor time? Oh, wait, we did this.
Yeah, I don't think they pull him unless he gets hurt.
Dante says, what about an older offensive coordinator? Oh, we brought this up, the Todd Monken one. I like it, Dante. Marty says, I had so much hope. The only glimmer of hope is that we get someone to buy out Woody or get a kick in the ass coach like Rex, Belichick, or even Gruden. So I can tell you, Belichick, I cannot see it happening.
No.
Gruden, I don't even know if Gruden's I think he's blackballed from the league.
He's suing the NFL. I don't think he's going to be coaching if he's suing the league, guys.
No, he's definitely donezo, unless you're talking about his brother. But even then, I don't want that.
No. What is the infatuation with Bill Belichick, Marty?
It's because he could be the GM and the head coach. He's a disciplinarian. We went against him for 25 years or whatever the hell it was. Like that's really the love affair. That's it.
He's done literally after screwing us and then taking great delight. No, he screwed us, then got caught filming us. Okay. Then has taken great delight in just rubbing our faces and shit for 20 something years. And then on top of that, has never done a single thing in the NFL without Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. He had a chance to pick a new first-round quarterback. He did it. Remember, he talked to Nick Saban, his good buddy.
Was that a playoff
He's done nothing. They made the playoffs the one year they limped
The first
in.
year with Newton,
they
or was
got
it with?
shellacked up
Yeah.
in Buffalo.
Yeah, I couldn't
They
remember
limped
if that
into the
was
playoffs.
the Mac Jones year or not.
Yeah. No, they did. I think it was the first year. So they limped in. They got beaten in the wild card, and they've never done anything. Like, he's had a number of years without Tom Brady, 4 years, I think it is. He's done nothing. He did nothing before Tom Brady. Don't forget, if Tom Brady didn't do what he did, one more year, he was getting fired. He was like 6-10 and 4 and whatever. I forget exactly what it was, but there was talk about him getting fired if it doesn't turn it around. And then Tom Brady comes out of the dark and ends up being the greatest quarterback of all time. On top of that, plays for 20 years for the organization, not just 5 or 10 like most teams get. They get, and then as soon as he doesn't have him, he does nothing. Like, you realize there is no greater recipe for the Jets to look even more foolish than we do now. If you want to find a way to make the Aaron Rodgers era look worse or look like pale in comparison, if you want to improve on the pain, there's no greater recipe than bringing Belichick in here.
It'd be a duo, because Rodgers has mentioned wanting to play with him. Like, that's the reason
Who gives a shit?
I know.
Rodgers
I'm
lost
on board.
all ability
I
to
do
do
not
that.
want Belichick, but I can see where the thought process is coming from Marty here. I don't like it.
No, Marty.
No.
Don't like it. Do not pass go. Douglas says,
it's like,
are we seriously talking?
Wait.
Go on. Sorry, let me bring it
You
back.
ever hear this sour milk theory? You can apply this to relationships. You got a bad girlfriend, and you break up all the time, and you keep going back. It's the sour milk theory, okay? You go into the fridge, and you grab the milk, you pour a glass, you take a sip, and it's sour. So you put it back in the fridge. What do you think happened when you go back to the milk tomorrow? Is it unsour? No. Once it's sour, you can keep going back and keep trying it, but it's going to be sour. Once it is, it is.
Well put. Douglas comes in and says, are we seriously talking about the Jets as some place for a quarterback reclamation project? We have reached bizarro world. It was more so just a thought experiment. We're not really, I think all of us would agree, we're not the spot to land for a young, up-and-coming, hopeful quarterback. Dante says, whatever happens, I think the Jets have to sit a rookie quarterback behind a veteran, just like last time they did it with Pennington. It worked out, injuries notwithstanding. Yeah, I think there's a certain personality that needs to come with New York. That's why I do like the approach they were having with Jordan Travis. It's just, I don't think it's it's not one to hitch your wagon to, just like Hackenberg shouldn't have been one that we hitched our wagon to for a year. But I do like the idea of sitting a quarterback. I think in this New York market, it's good to have some development time to learn how to handle the media, to see how someone else goes about their NFL, practice week and stuff. And not to mention, I like the third year. If you can get them in the third year, you have now, on average, NFL rosters flip over 30% each year. So by the time you start that quarterback in year 3, 90% of that roster is going to know that guy as the quarterback on that team. And there's not going to be a little bit less of like a headbutting of like, oh, it's just this young kid coming in here. Like, no, this guy's been here for a minute. The coaches know him. He's had his time to sit and learn, take his lumps, and you've seen him on scout team and all that. So he builds up a little bit of cachet within the team. So I agree with you, Dante. Matt, you want to talk any more on the quarterback sitting for a little bit?
No, just that it's a good idea, and let's try that for a change instead of saying, please save us, 21-year-old.
Bean, any more thoughts on the quarterback sitting?
Look, dude, I hate admitting when so we trade for Aaron Rodgers and I hate admitting that they are right? But they have been doing this, exactly what he's talking about, for the better part of 30 years. They get 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks out of it. Dump them right at the end. Favre had a couple good years. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look like he's able to recapture much. And then their next guy, I don't know if he's Hall of Fame, but he's a damn good quarterback. And when can we just learn? And like Dante is saying with Pennington, it worked. Now, again, and I like that disclaimer, injuries notwithstanding. Pennington, the injury thing was what really derailed him He was exceptional. He was a great quarterback for us, and people loved playing for him. He inspired people. He was upbeat. He got the whole team amped. He was the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. Amazing play action. The only weakness was he couldn't launch it 70 fucking yards down the field. You know, but man, did that work. So I'm a big fan of it. And that's what we're talking about. Even if it's just sitting for a portion of the season, you know, as long as we don't bring him in and it's like week 1, go out there, kid, and figure it out.
Got some low expectations. Under promise, over deliver. That's what we're looking for. Jet Dog, Zerline is on their injury report, left knee. Yeah, he can break both knees. Sorry, Zerline. Jet it out with a $5 super chat. Not having the plums to sit him when he's unhealthy is the issue. If you can't move, you can't win as a quarterback. Bottom line, he lost steam and accuracy. Yeah, I think they've just tied their wagon to Rodgers and said, hey, for better or worse, this is what we're doing. He wants to play, he's gonna play. I don't think
that with Favre too.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's. Well, we did pull Favre at the end. That final game, we broke the streak, didn't we?
We let him play hurt for weeks.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. No. Yeah. Because he tore it in like week 11. Yeah, look, I don't know. I think we've hitched our wagon to Rodgers, and they're just not gonna. We have no one with a spine at all on this team. You guys have any thoughts? You think there's any way that someone stands up to Rodgers?
Nope. There's nobody in this organization with the balls to do that. And there's nobody in this organization to do it to Favre too. Like, we actually, think about this. Everybody knew that Brett Favre wanted to go to the Vikings. So much so that there was a clause. There was a clause in if we traded him to the Vikings, we had to give them like 4 first-round picks or some shit like that.
I think it was 3. Yeah.
And what did we do?
We released him.
We cut him. We released him. We got nothing. Like, you say, fuck you. We're going to trade you to the Colts. We're going to trade you over here, whatever.
Well, he was retired. That was the whole thing with him, right? He's like, I'll just hang it up.
We did the same thing with Pennington the year before. Instead of getting something for him, we just released him. Like, we are a big bunch of pussies. We don't know how to do anything. We're soft. We are a soft organization. We don't know how to tell anybody anything. We're afraid. We walk around with with shaking hands. We don't have any balls in the entire organization from the fucking top down. No balls. And we never have. Rex was the only guy with balls. Parcells, I should say. Parcells, Rex, they had balls. Everybody else was a big old fucking puss pie. Everybody.
I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hooch guy.
It's good to get off my
NFL
chest.
Stock
That's how I
Exchange
feel.
had Todd Monken as number 1, as like most likely to take our job. Is that what it was?
Yeah, number 1 what? Number 1 cheese grater?
Their
What?
number 1 choice to be. I watched it's Connor Rodgers with Trevor Sikkema of PFF. They do a draft podcast. And they fixed the Jets for an hour and a half. It's a good listen if you want to give it a go. But Todd Monken was their guy. Another name they also mentioned was Pete Carroll, by the way.
I don't want Pete Carroll. Maybe as like a VP of, whatever, like back.
Not as a coach, but I would like Pete Carroll. The idea of Pete Carroll as like some sort of advisor is something that I could be okay with.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start ranking my coaches. I feel like now, but I don't know if I should be ranking coaches based on GM or GMs and then who they would pick as coaches. Like a lot of question marks going forward here. Joe M says one more thing: smash these likes. Go Jets!
Yeah.
Milk thumbs.
It took an hour and 40 minutes to get our first utters on the screen. Far too long.
That's crazy.
Dante says Green Bean is speaking gospel.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Dante.
Oh man, this damn team. So I guess if you had to make one trade right now, which player are you moving on the team? Like, assuming it's a selling type move as opposed to a like acquiring like a Jefferson or something like that. We'll go to Green Bean first.
I'm not moving anybody unless I'm talking about 3rd round picks or above. Like I'm not just moving people for the sake of moving people. I have no interest. Get a bunch of 6th and 7th round picks. I don't care. What I'd like to, if I was gonna do that, somebody called, I would be willing to trade Breece Hall.
Ooh.
I would not be willing, only because I love Breece Hall and I don't want to trade him. But I would be willing if somebody called and they said, "Look, we'll give you a second for Breece Hall," kind of a thing. I would be willing because I feel like I have the adequate horses in here already. And we can continue the Joe Douglas system of just drafting mid-round quarterbacks. Running backs. Again, I love Breece Hall. I don't want to trade Breece Hall. I would be willing to listen. I would not be willing to listen for Garrett Wilson. I would not be willing to listen for Sauce Gardner. I mean, dude, even if he has a bad season, like we're so funny as a fan base. Like the guy is clearly an upper echelon cornerback. He has a rough year and whatever the reasons, and he sucks. And we want to fucking trade that piece of shit. And I don't know, man. I'm not there with you guys. I'm just not. Like, guys, the careers are long, and he's still, even with the issues, better than a lot of what we've seen around here for a very, very long time. So I'm not willing to trade Sauce. DJ Reed is interesting because anyway, I'm willing to trade Breece Hall. Yeah.
I was gonna say Reed was the one for me that I'd be okay moving. I'd be fine having Eccles and Stiggers play some time at this point. I think he would fetch the best return, I think, of any of our players. Breece would be up there, I guess, but I don't know if a 2nd round pick is enough for me to want to do it when I think when he eventually leaves, we'll probably get a 3rd round pick back. I mean, granted, that's a bunch of years away at this point. I don't know. Matt, any player out there that you think you'd be willing to trade? What do you think about Breece Hall?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade Breece Hall right now. I think Reed is a good one to mention. Tyler Conklin might be another one to mention.
Mike Williams, if someone wants
Mike
him.
Williams, yeah, I don't think you're getting much.
Be a
from
late 6th or something like.
Yeah.
Whatever. Deontay Johnson just went for. They gave up a 6th and him to get a 5th, I think, is what it was.
Okay.
They moved up around. So if you could do a similar thing with Mike Williams, I would do it at this point. I don't think Mike Williams isn't someone that I care if I see on the field anymore.
Devontae have any value to someone?
See, I
Yeah.
so I'm kind of, I
That'd be
think,
fun.
I wouldn't hate it. Same with Reddick too. We didn't even talk about Reddick. Reddick sucked balls. He was terrible. The entire game. Awful. Not a good showing. 26 plays, not good. I guess you could lump him in there, but no one's going to want him.
We tried.
Well, I think it'd be different if you were like, hey, give us a 7th round pick. We know he's playing on his current deal. It just doesn't make sense for him to play here. Like him going to the Lions would make some sense. I could see that move. I think the Lions should go after Myles Garrett personally. But yeah, Reed's the one for me. I don't want to do Breece. I really don't want to trade Garrett. I think if Garrett asks for a trade, I'd be, fine, I guess, with doing it. But I hope that doesn't come to that. And I don't want to trade Sauce.
I love Garrett Wilson.
Breece, I want to wait a year on. If you want to make a move with him at the deadline next year, I'd be cool with that. I think that's probably where I lean. Allison, I didn't get my shirt. All right, I'll look into it after the show, and I'll see why it didn't go. Dante says, side note, when did 2nd round draft picks become high value?
What?
Well, a 2nd round draft pick, you should be getting a starter. We were just really bad at taking 2nd round picks for a long time. Joe Tippmann, going to be a starter. Breece Hall, starter. You should be getting good players. And think about any good player that went in the 3rd round. They clearly could have gone in the 2nd round. You had an opportunity to take that player. There's a lot of players. There's only at most 61 players that could have gone in front of you if you were a Super Bowl team. A 2nd round pick's definitely good. I'll take a 2nd round pick from any team for most players.
Second round picks are considered premium, dude. Yeah, Dante, you know better than that, buddy.
Just because the Jets are bad at drafting.
You're right.
You know,
We stink. That doesn't
clearly
mean no
first
stink.
round. Clearly, first round picks are better than second round. The goal is first, but a second rounder is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think that's what so I am sort of with Dante on this, where like I think he feels like Breece Hall is worth more than a second round pick. I think a second round pick is definitely worth it considering we have Allen sitting behind him. I think you could still get a second round pick for him next year. And worst case, like I like the idea if we wind up going with a young quarterback, you now have extra weapons around him, and we're not having those excuses that we have with Sam Darnold and Geno and all those guys. I don't know.
Yeah, but I want to be clear. I'm not saying that I want to. I'm saying I would listen. Because like if we're gonna do this selling thing, I don't even I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the sell-off. You know what I mean?
I would trade
even
Reed
just
for a third. If I could get a third for
let
Reed,
everybody
I would do it.
sit in their own stink this year. Nobody
But
save
you wouldn't-
nobody.
You wouldn't
No.
trade Reed, or I feel like Reed's been our best player. Like he's
What's
earned.
Reed gonna get? What's Reed gonna get?
If you could get me a third for Reed, I'd do it.
No way.
If it's just going to be a
Not doing
fourth, I'm going to sit and wait and let him get signed after the season. Like you have to give me a third this year as opposed to me getting a comp
Yeah.
third maybe in 2 years.
Yeah, I hear you. It's I don't know. I don't know. I like the idea of bringing Reed back. I know people are like, "Oh, we just have Eccles." I don't see it. I don't think Eccles is the same player as Reed. He's
How much do you think
advantageous.
Reed
He's-
demands on the
he's
open market?
opportunistic. What's that?
What do you think Reed demands on the open market?
Oh, I don't know. That could be problematic.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say, I think someone's
that's the-
giving him 18 million to be a number one corner.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
money.
I
I wasn't even thinking about that.
yeah, that's
Oh,
like
yeah, that's
he's
why I-
gone at the end of the
That's a
season. So
stick in
that's
the
what-
spokes.
like you could give me a third round pick, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
hey Reed, you've been great. We turned that free agent draft pick into 2.5 really productive years of a really good cornerback, and got a second round pick, third round pick out of it. I think you could get a third. I think that's realistic.
Yeah, you got to get a third.
Mike Williams is probably that flip of rounds. Like no one loses a draft pick, but you get a fifth instead of a sixth. I could see that. I wouldn't move Sauce. Garrett would have to. If someone offered me 2 1s for Garrett, I'd probably think about it. That depends on like where we're going, I guess.
2 firsts.
If someone
like
offered me 2 firsts for
Parcell-
Garrett, I would probably do it.
Yeah, I mean
That's
that's
a
the
lot.
sad part. Yeah,
Because I don't.
mean,
I
it's
really.
like
I don't
everything-
feel like he's gonna be here for a second contract anyway, and that would be something.
Yeah,
that-
Great.
it's a shame. But it's like when Parcells traded Keyshawn. I hated it. I mean, he was like,
Yeah.
I mean, but Parcells just said when somebody's willing to give you 2 first-round picks for a wide receiver, you take it.
Yeah. It's also tough because guys start holding out and they start getting their contracts in year 4. So you got to make that decision quicker than just their 5-year contract, especially if it's already being floated out there by Schefter that someone's willing to pay him that kind of money. Like I could see a new GM making a decision like that, but you'd have to blow it up and Rodgers doesn't return and you're getting hit with dead cap. And it's a whole crazy thing. Britt says Max Crosby
Again,
for Mike Williams.
I think they all deserve to sit in it. Nobody's like Joe Douglas he got rid of McClendon and Avery Williamson and sent them to good teams. Like go and have
Yeah.
hey, we're not going anywhere. And nope.
We probably
Stay
used
right
one of
here.
those picks on fucking Braden Mann, and he tackled that kick returner. We could have Trevor Lawrence. It's this whole butterfly effect. Not that it's necessarily a great thing, but I think Trevor's been doing okay. Dante says, sorry for the dumb question. I legitimately didn't know. I always thought second-round picks weren't that good. So, Dante, in the NFL draft, the first-round picks get a 5-year contract. It's a 4-year deal with a 5th-year team option. The 5th year is a significant jump in pay, and then every other pick after that, rounds 2 through 7, all 4-year contracts. And those don't get a 5th-year option, but they're still really cheap under team control. So you could get some really good players because there's so many positions on an NFL team. You've got, 22 starters across all, offense, defense, and there's only 32 teams. You're going to get a really good player in the draft. So second round pick, especially if it's a little bit higher, like if you could trade Reed to a team that's like hoping to make the playoffs, but somehow just, doesn't, and that you wind up with like a middle of a second round pick, What pick was Tittman? 65? I feel like 65 is ringing a bell.
60. Yeah, I think I want to.
Or
say
no, that's
60.
third round. I'm an idiot. It would have to be 46.
56 is my
56.
guess. I'm looking it up now. 43rd. We were way off.
43rd. So that's
43rd.
like
Yeah, that's
pick
what I said.
12, pick third. Is that right? Something in the second round. So middle of the second round, like you can get some pretty good players.
Oh yeah, I love the second round. Second round.
Second,
if you
third's
look at
meat
the
and
first,
potatoes.
look at the first 10 picks of the second round for like wide receivers over the past 15 years.
Oh yeah.
T. Higgins, AJ Brown, like it's crazy.
DK Metcalf,
Deebo Samuel,
Elijah Moore.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore. Right.
DK would have been wild.
DK Metcalf was like the end of the second round, man.
Was he the end of the second round? He went that far?
Yeah.
Damn.
He did go late.
There was talk of
He
him
should have
being
gone.
in it. Dude,
He
there
was, like,
was
top
talk
10
of him being
or,
a
like-
top 10 pick, right?
Yep.
And then he had a bad 3-cone or whatever it was at the combine.
Yeah. Stupid.
Stupid.
I've never
dude.
seen a receiver that ripped since like probably like T.O. or Megatron.
Well, that's what they tried to say. You know, he's like he's not agile. He's going to be a one-trick pony, and he's
No,
limited.
that dude, you look at him, he's a thoroughbred. He's just, that guy's a workhorse.
That's where like the overthinking of the analytics. Like analytics
Yeah.
is clearly very valuable, right?
Mhm.
But there's a reliance on it now. When like, and you forget, like, this guy has to go out and play football, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like he's a track star. He's so fast. Blah, 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 blah. And it's like,
Darius
can he
Hayward-Bay.
fucking play football, dude? You know what I mean? Like it's like we watched 3 years of full seasons of tape on this guy. He's dominant. Oh, he had a bad 3-cone. He couldn't jump fucking high in the high jump. It's like, I can't take it.
In the high jump.
He ran a slow 40. He's limited.
Sam says, hope we get the best quarterback in the draft. Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hope that too.
Why not us?
I
We're
would
due.
love the best quarterback. I'm in this weird flux of like, it just feels like the cycle's repeating again. And I just want our guys to be good. I want to play good football. I want to see a win. I want to see a win. Ablab, what's up, dude? Says, all of this fun pontification talking about player trades and whatnot, but we should be thinking about the GM. So who are the potentials that orchestrate a championship culture? I
There's really
honestly
only
don't
one
know.
choice. I'll tell you. There's one choice. Green bean. That's it.
Green bean. Yeah. Green
That's
bean.
it, Ablab.
Our fan base could put together a better scouting report on like all these draft picks. Like, is there a limit to how many people you can have in a draft room? Like, can we say like, hey, we've hired?
I think it's 786 is the limit, and I would max it out.
Yeah,
What's our?
And I'd be yelling this the whole time. Shut up! Shut the fuck up!
We got 10 seconds left. We gotta make a pick.
we got to put them in like a mini war room. It's like mini war room, and then us, and there's
Right.
like,
Yeah,
there's
you
phone
go to the
calls.
mini war room. I can't listen to you anymore.
I think we do all right.
Yeah,
There's
Jeremy's
always
the bouncer of the mini war room. and he gets the consensus from the mini war room and then passes it up to us. And then we decide if we
Right.
agree or we're going to say, fuck that. Let's do our own thing.
He's like, dude, there's a bunch of assholes in the mini war room.
You have
man. I can't
terrible
listen.
judgment. We're gonna do our own.
Right. Jeremy is the bouncer and caterer of the draft proceedings.
Jeremy,
It's
went
funny
to
with
the,
GMs because you don't really know who the next personnel guy is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
you just
like an
gotta
inner
look at
circle
teams
thing.
that draft well. The Chiefs, let me tell you something. The Chiefs every single year take the guys that I lobby for. Every
I feel
year
like
they
the Ravens
do
do that too. Ravens are
Yeah, the Ravens.
the two
every
teams.
year.
Yep.
So I'm taking somebody from one of those organizations, Ablab. That's where I'm going.
I got the guy.
Todd Monken.
Well, no, that's for head coach, but
Well, that's
Mike Bergonzi. He is the right-hand man to Veach, Brett Veach, the GM of the Kansas City Chiefs. He's been with the Chiefs for closer to 20 years, just about.
Holy smokes. Been
He
around.
was a pro scout from 2011 to 2012. He was the director of player personnel from 2015 to 2017, director of football operations 2018 to 2020, and assistant GM the last 4 years. I would say even before Patrick Mahomes got there, the Chiefs have been a consistently great football team for 10 plus years. I'd be poking around guys who've been around that organization for a while.
That's
I like
it.
that.
You got to wonder, why hasn't he been pegged? He probably just like, I'm good right here.
Yeah,
right?
he might be cool. Like uprooting your family after being there for so long is tough.
Yeah. Hey, babe, I got good news.
We're
moving to New Jersey and we're gonna lead the shit Jets.
And good news, we're gonna get doxxed, and people are gonna show up at our house.
Oh,
Right.
it's gonna be terrible.
At us.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about our kids. Shit like that. Ugh.
You could give me someone from the Chiefs, someone from the Ravens. I'd consider the Lions also. I think.
Yeah, they have. Oh my God, what the hell's his name? Ray Agnew.
Yeah,
I think.
that's a name I've heard kicked around a little bit. I'll have to dive into that. I don't know the GM candidates at all this year. I have not followed anything.
He was the director of pro personnel with the Rams from 2017 to 2020 and the assistant GM with the Lions since 21.
I like that. That's an interesting one. So he would have been with
lineman.
What was that?
He was a defensive lineman too.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, give me him. But he's probably, you got to think he's going with Ben Johnson somewhere. You think that would be a package deal together? I guess not necessarily.
Maybe. That'd be a pretty nice fucking package, though.
Yeah. I feel like we're looking at option 3 or 4. Like I don't think we're going to be a super attractive landing spot, which is kind of what gives me so much stress for going into the future. I don't know.
Oh,
brutal.
I tell you, I'm looking over the Chiefs drafts. I just can't stand it.
It's just
All
always
the guys
good.
I wanted. Everybody.
And it's
Karl
not
Loftus
just
was a
Patrick
big one.
Mahomes too, by the way. But like,
No,
there's
Karl Loftus was a huge one. I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I loved Karl Loftus that year.
Yeah.
I thought him a ton.
Right. Remember? I'll
Yep.
tell you, even when, and I like JJ. I mean, it sucks that he went down this year, of course. That was a big hit. I like him. I'm happy with him. But even when we did that trade, they were both on the board. I was still Karl Loftus.
Yep.
That was my guy. And it was in that draft, they also got ''𝐒𝐿'' who I was in love with. He's a fucking thumper.
Yep.
Sky Moore, I liked a whole bunch. Who's the other? Kennard, the tackle. He has another one of my guys. It's just funny. Creed
I think
Humphrey,
Pacheco in the 7th round.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, Pacheco. Yeah, man. And it's like Creed Humphrey again. Like that's fine that we traded up for AVT. Like the injuries, without the injuries, I mean the guy's a stud. So there's
the
no
skill's
argument there. You can't predict the injuries. But I didn't like the trade up. You know, Creed Humphrey was going to be there. We needed a center, an interior offensive lineman. You just wait it out. You fucking take Creed Humphrey. He went in the 2nd round. You take Creed Humphrey. You keep your 2/3. You know what I mean? You make some noise.
Yep.
They got Trey Smith that year in the 6th.
I remember that. That was he
of
had
the
some
blood
sort of
clots.
weird injury, right? Is that what it was?
He had the blood clot issue.
Yep.
And so the whole
we
thing,
were watching him drop, and we were just you gotta be kidding me.
dude. Remember,
Like pull the trigger.
right around the
we were pissed.
the 4th round, right when he makes it to the 4th and then 5th round, he is the value pick. That is
Yes.
worth the risk. He's a 1st round talent. That 4th, 5th round, that's where you start going. If he's still there, that's my pick. I don't want anybody talking to me. Okay, that's the fucking pick. I want it to be the quickest phone call in NFL history. If he's on the board, all you got to do is hit the last button. Boop. Trey Smith. That's what you do.
No suspense.
No.
Just make the call. Oreo
Just
says
go-
no
but again, it's
optimism,
like-
want pessimism from all you till we win.
Yeah. So it's just like, getting a guy like that from there, from an organization that, like, every year we look at the draft And it's not that Joe Douglas has done a bad job, right? Like we've gotten some mid-round guys, we've hit on some earlier guy. He's doing much better than our track record, without question. But it's still, there's some overthinking. It's just like, dude, that's clearly the guy.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
Not good enough. Right.
It's better than 𝐒𝐿𝐴 and 𝐒𝐻𝐿.
That's
just it. Like you get to Tannenbaum. Tannenbaum traded a lot of our picks, but got some pretty decent value out of the picks he did take. So it's hard to kind of argue that one. But I don't know. I liked Joe Douglas up until this year. When he stripped the defensive line, that was kind of like that could come back to bite us, and it did. Dante says, with all these potentially good assistant GMs and executives, do we trust Woody Johnson to make the right decision? He might pull a first-time scout as GM. I'm not optimistic. I'm not. I feel like we're going to hire the wrong person, and I'm just going to be so pissed. I don't know. I don't know what Woody's going to do. Quick name. Who do you think? What does Woody go with?
Rex Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
You think it's Rex?
Right. I would not be surprised if Woody said, we're reuniting the greatest tandem in Jets history, Tannenbaum and fucking Rex.
Right off the ESPN desk.
Here we go. Run it back.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would laugh my ass off.
It would be entertaining. It would be entertaining. It would be very Woody. It'd be very Jets.
Yeah.
Ah, shit. God damn. Paris says, there are two ways you can sell the Jets. The roster has good young players who only need to be coached better. You can also trade those assets for high draft picks you can use to get your players. Yeah, I think you could do both. I think you pitch it as a good young roster that you'll have maneuverability to do whatever you want with in maybe not in the immediate year of like trading guys away. You might want to see them, see how they perform. Like I want to see these guys on fourth years, Brees included. But yeah, I think that's how you pitch the Jets. I think you say, hey, look, this has been a horribly mismanaged coaching staff. We just got to hit a reset, and now all of a sudden you have some options. You got a good quarterback, kind of right now with Rodgers. If you could provide a spark and good offense, maybe that's a selling point. Green Bean, how would you pitch the Jets if you were selling it to a GM or a head coach?
Oh, I know exactly what I'd say. Dude, let me just tell you something. It looks grim, but if you win here, you're a legend. That's what I'd say.
Just the same thing every time. Matt, what's your pitch?
If you win here in New York, you will never have to buy a dinner ever again.
That's right.
Oh, it's so true.
Get the royal treatment. Every pizzeria and every fine dining establishment.
And also, you'll have the longest leash ever.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get
you play till whenever you want.
You could coach for 4 years, even though you suck. You could be, if you're a quarterback, you can get a third year, even though we were done with you after 2. We give you the long leash because we're
there's something to be said for the longevity. I think that is something like Woody sort of gives you some time to figure it out, even though he oversteps now and has in the past. Ron says, love you guys. Thanks for what you do. After this nightmare, just bring John Gruden in and let him run this stacked offense. Ron, we were just talking about how Gruden is suing the NFL. I don't think he'd be a head coach. Or they're like, hey, drop the lawsuit. You're a head coach of the Jets now. And he'd be like, all right, I'm going to work for my previous contract. And then maybe you're onto something, and maybe that's the thing. I don't think Gruden's coming here, though. Matt, would you take Gruden if he was around? He was like, hey, I want to coach.
Nah.
What about you, Bean? Look at Ozzie Newsome's last draft. Okay, let me just say this: Hayden Hurst, Lamar Jackson, Orlando Brown, Mark Andrews. That's the top. That's the first 4 picks, 1 through the first and third round.
Wild.
Is that not fucking ridiculous?
Core team.
Yeah, he was pretty
good. Yeah. What are we talking about?
John Gruden.
Yeah, I mean,
if he said, I want to coach the Jets, would you take Gruden? Man. Yeah.
You know what? It'd be fun. We can wear Chucky masks and shit. No? Why not?
Yeah, if we're headed for despair, give me A Hail Mary. Why not?
I'm
All
in.
right. We reached the end of our stream. If you guys hit that like button, we're going to pick one qualifier for every 25 likes that we get. And we're going to bring up the spin wheel. Green Bean, how many contestants do we have?
47 tonight.
47 tonight. Matt, could you go over and let's make it, let's see if we got any timestamps on last week's video.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Okie dokie.
We have a few.
All right. Throw a few in. Let's throw 3 in. First 3 that you scroll to.
All right, first 3. Ready?
Make it an
Phil-
even 50.
Phil Adams.
Phil,
Oh, yeah.
what a guy.
Did I show you what Phil Adams sent me?
No.
Scarf. Right?
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, from London? That's badass.
Yeah, that is really cool.
I love it, dude. I'm going to wear it the rest of the night.
Hell yeah.
Peter from Hudson Valley is number 2.
Peter.
And Pure Imagination is number 3.
It's good crew of guys.
Yeah, totally. Stout. All right, so that brings us to even 50.
Even 50. So we're going to go on the third generate click. 1, 2. Next person is the winner. 31. And you are getting
New Jersey BLT it is.
New Jersey BLT and gets a pillow.
Pillow.
Did we swap?
Yeah.
Was the pillow the jersey now? Is that what we're doing? Pillow is the DHgate jersey? Or did we swap?
Did we do that? Give
Yeah, I
them the
don't-
choice. You can get the pillow or you can pick a DHgate jersey.
Yeah, whichever one you want. Reach out to jetstalk247@gmail.com or talkinjetshow@gmail.com. Get your shipping info and your size and everything you need, and we'll send you out a DHgate jersey or a Talkin' Jets pillow. Thank you for playing. Boys and girls, we've reached the end of our show. Let's go around our panel, give our closing thoughts. Mr. Greenbean, you have the floor.
Closing thoughts. We're going to go on a run, everybody. Brace yourselves. It's going to be the greatest comeback in NFL history. We're going to hang out at 10:35 on Green Bean Jets Fan for the After Hours Jets Fest. Come and spend some quality time. We talk about all kinds of fun shit. So, yeah, we'll be doing that in just about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes.
O'Leary, what are you doing?
I don't know. I guess I'll just Jets tomorrow. I got to do a preview for this game that no one cares about tomorrow also. And yeah, Matt O'Leary NY for more Jets coverage.
Scootly.
We got it. There could be some energy. I can feel it. The tide's going to turn. We're going on a run. Green Bean can feel it. 9-1.
I can.
We got a shot till we don't. The future's bright. We got it. Boys and girls, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you next week. JETS.
Just go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense anymore. How are you going to blame the defense?
I got the power. Screw Green Bean. Damn it.
But once you get to the sausage, I feel like we're doing something.
Go Jets.
And that's the other part of this, is people are insanely jealous of this show. This show gets the best of the best, and it does it a different way, with positivity.
He scores!
Ow, my head. No, come on.
What would you give up to see a Jets Super Bowl?
All of my friends and family.
Hit those milk thumbs, boys and girls.
Freeze frame.
Hold on to your underwear, ladies, and stand by, bitches. It's now time for Talkin' Jets with your hosts, Matt, Ryan, and Green Bean.
Jets!